It seems like society views life in a fundamentally wrong way, in that we view life as an exclusive phenomenon. Colloquially, we say, I have a life, you have a life, this other person has a life, this animal has a life. So we have this idea of a life as an exclusive thing in which there are multiple of them, that there are all of these various centers of experience that arise, and there's somehow a boundary to one center of experience where it's truly separate from other centers of experience. And this isn't quite the way that it works. How it actually is there's one single aliveness, and it's appearing as any perspective that arises. So the experience of what it's like to be me is simply one of many perceptions of this aliveness. And there isn't actually an absolute exclusive center to this experience that separates it from other centers of experience. It's all the same aliveness accumulating information and changing shapes. And the question naturally arises, if this is true, then how is it that I'm only aware of my experience and not other people's experiences? If we're truly all the same aliveness, then wouldn't I be able to access other experiences? This isn't necessarily so, because if all of the experiences in reality were somehow accessible from one particular organism, then that would be such a static cacophony of sensations that there wouldn't be anything discernible at all. So there wouldn't even be the possibility of an experience to be had. So there has to be this illusion of separation in order for it to be like anything to exist at all. Because the mind filters out information to paint a particular experience. That doesn't mean that all of the other information isn't connected, it's just not directly accessible from one particular organism or localization of this aliveness. And I think if society made this shift from thinking about life as not this exclusive thing, but rather an aliveness which is all-inclusive, that would mitigate much of the unnecessary suffering that humans in particular seem to impose on other beings, because they view them as exclusive, distinct life forms who are separate from themselves. It's easier to lack that empathy for them, to other them. Now, it is possible to have empathy for another being while perceiving them as another being that's truly separate, yes, but it still leaves room for a lack of empathy. And I think if these seams are stitched together and it's perceived as one whole totality of aliveness, that makes it much easier to have empathy for other beings, not just human, any other animal or plant, any organism at all that's having some kind of conscious experience, that it's like something to exist. And not only is it more practical in this way, but it's just more true. And we overlook this truth whenever we confuse our language to be the way that reality is. Because humans have created all of these conceptual boxes to describe different life forms, all of these various organisms. We try to find patterns and we create lines between patterns, and it's totally arbitrary. There's really no such thing as an absolute divisionary line between organisms, between species, but it's convenient for us to speak as if there is, if we want to communicate particular information. And the mistake is when we confuse this useful fiction of conceptual boxes to be the way that reality absolutely is, and it just isn't that way. Reality doesn't fit in conceptual boxes of knowing. And this shift isn't to stop utilizing these conceptual boxes. It's not to deny that useful fiction, but rather it's to use it while acknowledging that it's only a useful fiction. So it's not denying that as a utility, it's acknowledging reality is much more seamless than that. And it's much more undescribable. The way that we try to describe reality is just a best attempt, and it's not really precise. Even everything that's being said here is not the absolute truth, because reality is so ungraspable, it's so ineffable. It's not even the word aliveness, of course. That's just a convenient word that I have. So if this is a particular perception that you resonate with, I would invite you to go about your day while keeping this in mind, while reflecting on this fact as you perceive other people, animals, and even plants, that they are the same essence of aliveness, simply appearing as that distinct aperture of experience. And just watch how your attitude towards other beings shifts from this perspective.